So when we actually renovated the house, they were all part of creating the graffiti on the wall. So they were all part of choosing which pictures they want to be there, so it can actually be part of their home. But we've realized if you don't work with them, then you're kind of making your own life much more difficult. So if they're on board, if they want to be part of it, if they have a voice, if they have an opinion, they're happy to be here.
I got plenty of ambition, you should never try to sleep on me. Cause I won't stop until I'm securing the victory. Wake up in the morning with that positive energy. I know negativity could be your worst enemy.
This is one of our rooms where there's 6 youth that sleep in the rooms here, and they have to look after the rooms and see to the tidiness of the rooms. They have a roster.
You ruin everything you built up if you let it. So I'm working hard, I won't stop until I get it. I don't follow no trends unless I'm the one who said it. Why should I follow somebody when the top is where I'm headed?
And then every youth in the house get a day where they have to prepare the food. So they have to make breakfast, lunch and supper. They have to be cleaning the kitchen, they have to be dishing the food. So we try to teach them how to cook, how to do all kinds of different dishes, so that when they leave here, they know how to prepare lots of different food.
Daar's 'n lys met 'n laundry lys, so elke jeug kry 'n dag om laundry te doen en hulle kry hulle wasgoeie in die maand en dan hulle moet hulle laundry self doen.
I got big dreams, I'm doing big things. I'm working all day, I never complain. I see behind all the mirrors and the smoke screen.
Cape Independence Party Youth reached out to Homestead as a part of Cape Exit's youth program to help with the care of street kids this coming winter. Homestead is a non-profitable organization that focuses on the empowerment and the upliftment of the youngsters in Cape Town.
Homestead started in 1982, and I think at that time there was a lot of children on the streets. And Homestead's dream was that no child should be living on the streets of Cape Town. A street child is actually defined as someone who works, begs, or live on the street. So it's not just living. Begging is also seen as a street child or even working. If there's children that's selling stuff on the street and they're not in school, that's also defined as a street child.
Do you guys have an idea of what the extent of the problem in Cape Town is?
That's difficult to answer because Cape Town can be the city centre or it can be all the different informal settlements. So often what I found is that sometimes the children that's not homeless, so we're aware of them, but there's often children that's in similar circumstances, they're still living at home. They're experiencing extreme abuse, extreme neglect, but they're actually not running away from it. Where street children, or as defined by street children, is actually children that try to get out of the circumstances. So they're trying to not accept the abuse, to not want to be living in the circumstances. Often people think street children are naughty, they're disrespectful, they're stealing, they're criminals, but actually it's children who's trying to get out of their circumstances and trying to change what's happening at home.
We experience that a lot at our drop-in centers where a lot of youth in the areas are begging on the streets or getting customized to street life. And if you find out since when have they been on the street, it's been in 2020 since the lockdown has started.
And then while they've been on the street, they get used to more hardened drugs, and then it becomes more. Then they have to actually get the drugs, and then it becomes more criminal element. Where it could have been, yes, if we were a little bit more preventative, it wouldn't have had to get to that point.
Watter hindernisse het Homestead as 'n organisasie in die verlede al raakgeloop?
From my experience, a lot of the systems has not necessarily been developed for the children we work with. For example, if you think about the education system, if a child hasn't been in school for more than 10 days, a child gets deregistered. Or if a child does not get assessed and actually gets enrolled at a skills school at the age of 14, then you can never get them into a skills school. So there's a lot of cut-offs where we need a little bit more time to be working with a child or with a youth to be able to get them to attend school for 10 days. Or there's a crisis in the family, they don't go to school for 10 days, you try to re-enroll a child and they say, oh sorry, they've already been deregistered. Now you have to wait for a whole year to get a child back into school. By that time, we don't know what has been happening. The child is every day with children who dropped out of school, who's probably part of drugs or gangs, which actually makes things then just worse. Another example is that we at the moment have quite a few children that's from different countries. According to the Children's Act, they have every right, like every other child, until the age of 18, and then as soon as they're 18, they're a legal foreigner. So the Act protects them until 18. We try to apply for all kinds of legal paperwork with Home Affairs, with Refugee Affairs. They do all the therapy, they attend all our programs, they try extremely hard, but the system doesn't necessarily speak to each other. Another example is probably the clinic service or the mental health services. We have a lot of children that needs more in-depth therapy or ongoing therapy, where if you, yes, the crisis in South Africa is so big that it might not be that they can access those services. They're in waiting lists for a year or two. So we try to find ways around it. We try to get volunteers or people that's willing to do, for instance, counseling for free, or psychologists or educational psychologists that gives us reduced rates. But in that side, we didn't need additional funding. So even with the schools, we have identified schools that is NGOs or independent schools that's willing to accept our children and work with them, even though they're not age appropriate. Oh, that's our issue. So if a child is 2 years older than their grade, they cannot go to a mainstream school because the education system does not accept them. So then we had to identify other schools that's willing to accept them. Again, that schools charge much more money. You won't be able to get school fee exemption, which then on the other side, you have to raise much more funds for.
How connected are these kids with their homes still?
So family reunification is a big part of our program that we offer here, because we need these youth, when they leave here after they reach 18 or 21, to have some connection with some family members so that they are not left on their own. What we implement here is that all youth here should, on a rotational basis, go visit their families every bi-weekly. And we have regular meetings with these families to encourage connection with the youth.
So it might also be that they're not necessarily visiting the family that they ran away from.
Okay.
So often there might have happened abuse or things in the house, but the youth don't feel comfortable going back to. So then we identify an uncle or grandfather or someone. We even have some youth that go and visit their grandparents in Eastern Cape in December, because we believe they need to be connected to someone. None of them can just be not having any family. Also, we would, if things has been identified in the family as the things that went wrong, then we do offer counseling and support and ongoing things between the child and the family as well. It's not just go back, we're not going to be. There's a lot of work and support that goes along with them visiting their families.
What is the biggest thing you guys have achieved, or the biggest thing that has happened for the organization?
I think for me that's probably a very individual question. It depends who you're going to ask. It might be if you ask head office that we got this beautiful brand new building. For me, if I have to answer it, my personal opinion is when we opened a Launchpad program about 6 years ago, we actually started a program for boys between 15 to 21 because we realize often they have to leave at 18, they haven't actually learned any independent skills. Some of them go to prison, some of them go to the street, not because that's the life they want, but they actually didn't have the right skills to be able to look after them. So since we opened this program, I think we worked with about 64 boys, and none of them has gone back to the street that we know of at the moment. So some of them might have gone for a little bit, and then we help them, we work with them, and then none of them at the moment on the street. Also, a lot of them is able to find employment. Some is actually going to university, and a lot of them gets to grade 12. Where it's boys that literally lived on the street, that people has given hope. Yeah, there's no more hope, people has given up on them. Also, if you look at our drop-in centers, all those children come willingly. There's no court orders that say they have to be there. This is children that access the service every day, saying, I want help, I want to get out of these circumstances.
Wat gebeur volgende met die items wat hier geskenk was?
Die items gaan nou versprei word na die verskillende sentrums. So assesseer wat se kinders in die verskillende sentrums nodig het. So dit kan wees in die drop-in centers in verskillende gemeenskappe of die kinders wat in die verskillende child and youth care centers is.
Wat kan ons as 'n gemeenskap doen om nog verder te help met hierdie krisis?
Ek dink 'n groot deel wat mense probeer doen om straatkinders te help is om vir die kinders direk geld te gee. Die probleem met dit is dat kinders dan aanhou dedel en aanhou op die straat bly. So die eerste ding moet wees om die organisasies wat wel met die kinders te werk te ondersteun. As niemand ooit vir die kinders op die straat geld gee nie, gaan niemand van hulle daar bly nie. Andersins dink ek mense kan die skills wat hulle het gebruik. As iemand byvoorbeeld 'n talent het in 'n sekere sport, kan dit wees om met die kinders sport te kom afrig. Dit hoef nie noodwendig net geld of goedere te wees of items te wees nie.
Die jeug maak hier skills sodat hulle kan werk geleenthede kry. Baie van die jeug wat ons het, hulle is meer skills oriented en met hulle hande kan werk, en mense wat meer tegniese werke, miskien hulle kan vir hulle help met sulke skills kan aanbied.
enige iets wat hulle kan leer of val vakantiewerke, naweekwerke, hulle wil leer. Baie van hulle het groot geword in huise toe hulle nog by die familie was waar niemand gewerk het nie. Hulle het nie idee hoe dit is as iemand elke dag opstaan en werk toe gaan nie.
Is there some big thing that we can do or something that needs to happen for the problem of children homelessness or youth homelessness in our city or in our country to just be resolved?
For me, my understanding of child homelessness or youth homelessness is just a symptom of a much bigger problem. I think we can help all the children that's currently on the street, but until the communities and the services and things that are happening in the communities does not change, there's just going to be more and more children.
I also think that it's going to need a input from all the different role players, whether it be the government, whether it be NGOs, whether it be community-based, whether it be, the schools, everyone linked and to solve this problem. It will probably never go away, but we can work on it.
You can help the cause to change these children's lives